Are you excited for the big dance tonight? Yes. A soft orchestra played in the distance, the first notes floating like whispers of a secret about to unfold. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above the grand Manhattan ballroom, scattering light across polished marble like tiny stars. Power, money, and elegance filled the room. This was the Children's Hope Foundation Gala, where every smile hid ambition and every handshake meant millions. Alexander Morrison tugged slightly at his black bow tie, swallowing hard. 36 years old. CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech firms on the East Coast. A man who commanded rooms, closed deals, and built empires. Yet tonight, his palms were damp, his heart unsteady, not from business, but from fatherhood. Beside him sat Isabella, his 4-year-old daughter, her pink tulle dress puffed around her like a tiny ballerina in a fairy tale. Her legs dangled from the oversized chair, swinging with innocent energy while she hummed to herself and clutched a tiny stuffed bunny. Since losing his wife, Maria, to cancer a year and a half ago, Alexander had mastered quarterly reports and investor calls, but bedtime stories and little shoes with tangled ribbons? That still terrified him more than any boardroom. Tonight mattered. Powerful donors, potential investors, media coverage. But his nanny had fallen sick last minute, and his nearest family lived hours away. He couldn't leave Isabella, and he couldn't appear overwhelmed or unprepared in front of Manhattan's elite. Desperation pushed him toward a solution that made him uneasy. A professional companion service, someone to appear as his date for the evening and quietly help with Isabella. It wasn't romantic. He had made that clear. He just needed support. Someone poised, comfortable around children, able to keep up the illusion of a perfect, controlled life. But when Sophia Elena entered the gala, everything inside him paused. She looked like she belonged in that glittering world, elegant, composed, graceful in a deep navy gown that shimmered softly under the lights. 28, warm-eyed and confident. Yet something gentle lived in her expression. Something real. Alexander prepared a polite greeting, but what stunned him wasn't how she looked. It was what she did. Instead of shaking his hand first or offering a polished introduction for the crowd to see, Sophia knelt beside Isabella, bringing herself down to the little girl's height. "Well, hello there," she said softly. "That dress is beautiful. I love all the sparkles. Did you choose it yourself?" Isabella's shy nod was followed by something Alexander did not expect. His daughter reached out and took Sophia's hand, trusting her instantly. His chest tightened. That hadn't happened with anyone since Maria. "Daddy says this is a very important party," Isabella whispered. "And I must use my best manners." Sophia smiled, the kind of smile that made everything feel lighter. "Well, I think your manners are already perfect," she said gently. "And I love parties, too. Maybe tonight we can make our own little fun." In that moment, with chandeliers glittering like promises overhead and his daughter smiling for the first time all evening, Alexander felt something shift. This night, meant to impress business titans and secure future deals, might just change his life in a way he never saw coming. As the night unfolded, Alexander found himself quietly stunned. Sophia wasn't just fulfilling a role. She was moving through the evening with effortless grace, shifting between poised elegance and gentle warmth like she'd been doing it her whole life. During the cocktail hour, she mingled with top-tier executives, speaking confidently about philanthropy and technology trends. Yet at the same time, she always kept one eye on Isabella, offering her tiny macarons, whispering silly stories, sliding napkins under her juice glass before a spill could happen. It wasn't pretending, it was instinct. At dinner, she cut Isabella's chicken into tiny heart-shaped bites without making her feel babyish, brushing a stray curl behind the child's ear as she leaned in to whisper jokes that kept Isabella giggling while adults droned through their speeches. Alexander watched, feeling something unfamiliar. Relief, comfort, maybe even hope. But the real moment, the one that lodged itself deep in his heart, came during the live auction. Isabella's eyelids drooped, her tiny body squirming with fatigue. Alexander felt anxiety rise. The gala wasn't over, and the room was full of important faces. Before he could excuse himself, Sophia leaned in, voice soft and calm. "May I take her for a little walk? Sometimes fresh air helps." Then, kneeling, beside Isabella, she whispered, "Want to go see the pretty flowers in the hallway? We can count how many pink ones we find. No sighs, no irritation, no handing responsibility back to him, just kindness. Natural, effortless kindness." Through the ballroom's glass doors, Alexander watched the pair stroll through the marble lobby, small hand in delicate hand. Sophia pointed up at grand moldings, helped Isabella touch velvet drapes, guided her toward tall crystal vases filled with roses and lilies. They counted blossoms together, practicing soft numbers and giggling whenever Isabella miscounted on purpose. When they returned 20 minutes later, Isabella's cheeks were flushed with excitement, not exhaustion, and both were as spotless as when they left. "Daddy," Isabella beamed, "Miss Sophia taught me those big columns are called Corin, something fancy." "Corinthian," Sophia said, smiling. "And she knows why the flowers smell happy," Isabella added proudly, leaning into her. "She said they drink sunshine." Alexander felt something fragile shift inside him, something he had buried since Maria's last hospital breath. His daughter looked safe, content, loved. It made gratitude swell inside him, and a quiet ache he didn't expect. As the evening drew to a close, Isabella finally surrendered to sleep, her tiny body curling against Sophia like she'd been resting beside her forever. Sophia instinctively repositioned, creating a pillow with her arm while stroking Isabella's hair in slow, soothing rhythms. "She's exhausted," Alexander murmured, voice low, trying not to disturb the peaceful moment. "I should probably get her home." He said the words, but part of him hesitated, not wanting to break whatever gentle magic had taken root between the two most vulnerable pieces of his world. "She has been such a good girl tonight," Sophia whispered, her voice full of warmth as she looked down at the sleeping child resting against her. "You should be incredibly proud. She's gentle, curious, and so well-mannered." Alexander tried to respond, but a tightness formed in his throat. "She likes you, more than most people," he managed quietly. "That doesn't happen often. Not since her mother." His voice trailed off before the pain could fully surface. Sophia's expression softened, compassion filling her eyes. "I can see how much you love her," she said gently. "She's very lucky, you know. Not every child has a parent who sacrifices so much to make sure they feel safe." As they prepared to gather their coats and leave, Isabella shifted against Sophia's arm, blinking sleepily. She looked up at her with dreamy innocence and whispered, "Miss Sophia, can you stay forever?" The words were tiny, but they thundered through the quiet space between them. Alexander felt his heart twist. Hope shone in Isabella's tired eyes, and when he glanced at Sophia, he saw something else there. Tenderness, and a flicker of ache, like she wished life was simple enough to say yes. "Oh, sweetheart," Sophia murmured, brushing a stray curl from Isabella's forehead. "I had the most wonderful time with you tonight. You made everything feel special." Her gaze lifted, meeting Alexander's. There was a silent truth in that look. Whatever arrangement this had started as, it no longer felt like a transaction. Not to Isabella, and not entirely to him either. In the car ride home, Isabella came back to life, chattering excitedly about every game, every flower, every whispered joke. Her little voice danced through the quiet car, lighting up the night. Alexander listened, each joyful word reminding him of something he had nearly forgotten. His daughter still had room in her heart for connection. She just needed the right person. And now, she thought she'd found one. That night, after pajamas and brushing tiny teeth, Alexander tucked Isabella into bed. Her smile faded into a serious, searching expression. "Daddy," she whispered, "is Miss Sophia going to be my friend?" Alexander froze. The arrangement was supposed to end tonight. Clean, simple, professional. But nothing about this felt simple anymore. "Do you want her to be your friend?" he asked softly. Isabella nodded so hard her curls bounced. "Yes, she's kind like Mommy was kind. And she makes you smile." Her voice cracked slightly at the word Mommy, and Alexander felt the air leave his lungs. His daughter wasn't just asking a question. She was longing for something she had lost. Something they both had, and for the first time in a long time. He wondered if maybe they weren't as alone as he thought. In the days that followed, Alexander found his mind drifting back to Sophia far more than he expected. Not because she had looked elegant or played a role perfectly, but because she hadn't been acting. Every smile, every gentle gesture, every way she had spoken to Isabella, it was real. No rehearsed charm, no polite obligation, just genuine warmth that lingered long after the gala lights faded. He wrestled with the thought. Logic warned him to move on, to keep boundaries. But every time Isabella asked about Miss Sophia, every time he pictured the way Sophia had held his daughter with tenderness instead of duty, the invisible barrier he had built around his heart cracked a little more. Finally, after days of silent debate and sleepless reflection, he made a choice that surprised even himself. He reached out to her, not through the agency, but personally, and asked if she would meet him for coffee. When she walked in, the afternoon light warmed her features, and Alexander suddenly felt like the nervous one again. Our arrangement was supposed to end after that night. He began quietly, hands clasped, voice steadier than he felt. "But I want to ask you something different." He hesitated, searching for the right words. No business pitch, no polished speech, just truth. "Isabella hasn't stopped talking about you, and I haven't stopped thinking about how right it felt. The three of us, together." Sophia didn't interrupt. She just listened, really listened, her expression thoughtful and soft. "I'm not asking for another professional arrangement," he continued. "I'm asking if you would be willing to get to know us, as yourself, not as someone filling a role." A breath trembled through him. Vulnerability. A feeling he rarely allowed. Isabella needs stability and genuine affection. And I'm starting to realize that maybe I do too. For a long moment, Sophia was silent, her eyes searching his. Then her lips curved into the same gentle smile that had melted Isabella's walls. And his. "I would like that very much," she said quietly. "But you need to know something." Her voice softened. Everything I felt that night, with her, with you, it wasn't pretend. Isabella is extraordinary, and you are a father who carries love with every breath. If we do this, it will be because I truly care. Not because of an arrangement. 6 months later, Sophia wasn't an appointment or a hired presence. She was part of their lives. Breakfasts filled with giggles. Afternoons painting butterflies. Quiet evenings where laughter replaced silence and worry. What began as something temporary had become something natural, warm, and deeply real. A family, not built by chance, but by unexpected grace. The little girl who once shyly asked, "Can you stay forever?" now woke up to Sophia's cheerful good mornings, and Alexander often found himself smiling in ways he didn't know he still could. Love hadn't arrived on schedule. It didn't make an appointment or come dressed in certainty. It slipped in disguised as a one-night solution, and stayed because hearts recognized what minds were too cautious to believe. That gala, meant for business and image, had revealed a truth Alexander had forgotten. The greatest success in life isn't measured in deals or titles, but in the family you build, the love you nurture, and the courage to let unexpected happiness in. Sometimes the most valuable investments are the ones you never plan to make, the ones that find you when you need them most.